Mount Sinai, the 15th century BC. According to the Bible's book of Exodus, after the Israelites were released from Egypt, God summoned Moses to the peak of this holy mountain and gave him 2 stone tablets carved with the 10 Commandments. He also gave him specific instructions for building the Ark of the Covenant.
Was the box that was constructed to contain the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments, which were irradiated with divine power because they had been touched by the finger of God.
The covenant itself was a contract between God and the Israelites. I will be your God and protect you, provided you keep my commandments. Israel's end of the deal then was going to be kept in the box, which is the Ark itself.
But the Ark of the Covenant didn't only carry the 10 Commandments. It was also said to be the throne of God himself.
In the book of Exodus, in the 25th chapter, the verse is very clear. God says to Moses, Asuli mikdash, b'shachanti b'tocham, have them make me a holy place, and I, God, I will dwell among them. And wherever the ark went, that power of God went with them. The ark is built in a reflection of what's called a heavenly ark. It was built 2.5 cubits by 1.5 cubits by 1.5 cubits. So the ark would have been somewhere in the ballpark of about a 3 by 5 foot rectangular box.
It was going to be covered with gold on the outside and the inside, and was to have 2 gold rings at each of the 4 corners. And it was carried with poles that were run through the rings, and the orders were that the poles should never be removed from the rings. And the lid was to be made out of gold, and on each end of the lid were to be cherubim, or guardian angels basically, with wings.
But why was it so important that the Ark be constructed to such exact specifications? And why would God, a spiritual being, require a physical throne here on Earth? Perhaps there is an answer in the Bible's description of Moses after he returned from Mount Sinai.
After Moses came down from Mount Sinai, he was glowing. The Bible says that he had to wear a scarf over his face.
I am fascinated with the idea that Moses, all of a sudden, his appearance changed. And so the idea that Moses all of a sudden looked different, we have to ask ourselves, why?
Just what did Moses encounter on Mount Sinai? Was it God? Or was it someone or something else?
God is clearly an entity not of this earth, and by definition, therefore, extraterrestrial. Where does he come from? We must recognize that when the ancients are speaking about God, there is no other term that we can use to describe these experiences other than extraterrestrial.